Okay, I'm here to give you my initial reaction and review of the entire series and the ending of Zodiac Academy. Now, these are for books 1 to 9. I have not done any of the novellas. I have not done the Ruthless Boys. I have only done the core 9 books. Oh my God, that was I feel like I have climbed Mount Everest getting through that series. That just, like, it was so good, but soul destroying. But then the way it drags those last 3 books, and the last book especially, there was a lot of pain. There was just a lot of pain as a reader just to get through that. But at the same time, now that I'm done, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I feel so good. Now, the first 6 books, to me, they were perfect. Like, even though they're like Gossip Girl fave, Vampire Diaries, like trashy as in certain ways, I loved them. They were so good. Even though there was a bully romance, I thought they tied in really nicely how that came about and how they were somewhat forced into that by Lionel. So I think that made a lot of sense. Okay, these were my issues with the series. One was Lionel. Lionel not being that powerful, but constantly scheming and then always managing to up the girls just sometimes didn't really make sense. It was like, how? How is he? Like, they kept like managing to take away some of his power, take away the dark shadows, whatever it was, but he still managed to come up and build himself like this massive army. And it was just like, that does not even really making sense right now. I felt like that just dragged on too long for the reader. And by the time we actually got to the end where he actually gets to die, I was kind of checked out at that point. Personally, I don't understand why Mildred and why the Shadow Princess actually had to be there till the very end. I feel like Mildred could have been killed off in like the 8th book, and I feel like the Shadow Princess should have also died earlier. I would have liked to have seen Lionel suffer more and be more like, oh, I'm really copping some hits to my army. I kind of didn't really love that, like, none of them died. None of them died till the very, very end, and that was just too long. I think we needed to see the rebels actually win something, have a big win along the way, because it just, by the time you were there, you were so checked out, and then we just all got it at once. It was like Christmas, but I wasn't that checked in by then. I feel like I would have enjoyed a good death. I would have liked to have seen Lionel weakened and then had to try and come back from that. It would have been, we just needed a moment of satisfaction that these guys were having an impact in getting someone. Honestly, it made no sense. They had the 2 Phoenixes. They had the 4 main male characters. Like, they literally had nearly everyone was part of the rebels by the end of it, and yet Lionel was still overpowering them because he just had the Shadow Princess and he was able to like build himself an army. Lionel was also just so overwhelmingly bad, and I personally probably prefer a more complex villain that has their reasons for what they're doing. Like, yes, it's good to really, really hate someone, but you also then, they did bring in suffering for him, but it wasn't real, true suffering. I needed him to cop some hits, some real hits that he had to come back from that forced him to become stronger because he lost things, whereas he didn't really lose anything. He just had a few unpleasant, intimate scenes. That was it. Now, this might be very controversial because some people might absolutely love this character, but I did not like Seth. I did not like Seth, and I actually would have liked him to have rebelled and gone to Lionel. I actually would have liked Seth to have ended up being a villain, to have turned against the others and gone to Lionel earlier on, because he was so bad at the start. He was the one that instigated the bullying the most. I feel like that could have been a bit more interesting. I think the fact that all 4 of them ended up going to the girls and all siding there, like, it felt like everyone got a happy ending. Everyone. I would have liked to have seen a bit more angst and someone turn against them. I think that just would have added another layer and more, it just would have made it more interesting. Whereas I think it just became all of them ended up being good, and Lionel was like the only one that was bad, and it was the whole world against Lionel, basically. I'm happy to go back to Darius and Tori now. Like, that is really where my interest is and where I want to be. As per my last thing, I'm not really into Seth and Caleb. Like, great for them, good on them, and I love that inclusion in this book, but I wanted Seth to be a villain, so that's how it didn't really work for me. I'm kind of frustrated we didn't actually lose any main characters. I mean, I'm sorry, but Washer was not a main character. That was such a cop-out. Like, you know, they got so close to Seth and Geraldine. And while I didn't want any of these people to die, you sometimes need someone major to die to feel like it's justified. Like, again, this was a massive war. It was huge. I think we find out Seth's pack died and I didn't even notice. And I actually listened to the whole war. Okay, that part I did not skip. I actually listened to the whole thing and somehow I still missed that in the audiobook. So, anyway, cool. I just feel like we needed to lose a major character to have that buy-in and that pain and have it feel real. But again, we're dealing with like a Vampire Diaries, a Gossip Girl. We're not losing major characters here. By the last book, I skipped so much. I was so mentally, I was so close to DNFing, so close, especially in the middle, because it was just boring. And I was like, hurry up already, bring on this war. I'm so tired of Lionel. I want him to die. I want him to at least have some loss and some pain. And of course, it doesn't happen until the very end of the book. Like, as I said, why did we not lose Mildred at the beginning or something? We needed some kind of win earlier on. To wait for all of it till the very end was very, very frustrating. So I skipped spy scenes, I skipped the proposal, I basically skipped anything that wasn't major to the canon of the story. I went, not important. I think at some point Seth and Caleb became moonmates. Cool, skipped it, didn't want to know about it. I was like, just get me to this war already. I want this done. Darius and Tori were the best parts of the whole series, and how she brings him back, I think was one of the best twists in this book, which was obviously at the end of book 8. I think the way that she had to go and get him back, there was so much work and effort she had to put in to make that achieved. Like, it wasn't just like this little magic potion she created and he came back, or she just like went to the moon on, whatever night. And no, it took a lot of planning effort. She had to go against the stars. It really sang to her character, and I just loved how they managed to. She had to find the ether magic. She had to learn how to use it. She had to pull those magic pieces. She had to pull like the recipe together. Then she had to travel to the world of the dead, and then go, across to him, and then use that ether magic to then bind his soul to hers, which was so romantic. Oh my God. The way that they didn't just become mates, but that she ended up sharing her heart, her soul with him, so their heartbeats as one and their lives are connected together, that if one dies, both of them dies. Oh my God, stop my heart. It was so romantic, but also so empowering that she did that herself. I absolutely love that. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the book. And that is probably why you should go all the way to the end, because that is at the end of book 8. The only novella I wish I had read was the last one, the one with Darius when he's dead. I did have someone message me and say, you really, if you read any of them, read that one. And I did get the feeling in that final book that would have been, obviously things had transpired. And while it didn't matter, I think it would have been really interesting. I just didn't have the mental capacity. I was so close to DNFing. I was like, I just need to get to this last book and I need to get it done. I can't go back and read a novella. But I feel like it would have been valuable. If I'd had the patience, it would have been the one that I would have done. My overall is that the last 3 books really should have been edited and pulled into 2 books. It would have made them so much better. Even without any changes, that just would have tightened it up. And because I think the pacing changed at book 7. Everyone kind of talks about checking out at the same time. It's a bit of Zodiac fatigue, but it's also just that the pacing changes. Obviously, we're not in that school system anymore. We now sort of have them out, being part of the rebels, and just the whole dynamic changes, and it just gets a little bit dull and uninteresting. So I think cutting out some of that other stuff and pulling it together would have made it so much more engaging for people. It's such a good series. I feel like everyone should read it, especially as romantasy readers. I feel like it's a rite of passage, but you definitely want to rush through those last couple of books. You want to audiobook them. You want to have them at 1.7. You want to skip anything that's not overly important. As I said, because it's a real soap opera, you can really check out and skip parts and you don't really feel like you've missed that much. How did I feel about the ending of this series? Look, I guess it's kind of similar to Kingdom of Ash, but I was so much more checked in Kingdom of Ash, whereas this one, I was a little more checked out. Look, all the things happened we wanted to. It was a really long battle, literally hours of listening to this battle. Hence, even with that, I probably checked out here and there because just so much was happening. We had to go into each and every character. Again, it was just because they'd built it up so much, they then had to deliver so much in this actual war. And so it was good. It hit all the marks. I liked how they ended up defeating Lionel in the end. But I don't know. it ticked the boxes. It maybe didn't go above and beyond for me. Probably the thing I liked the most was actually the closure of the book. I really liked how they closed it, how they did a few years, and we really got to see the life after this, which I actually thought was really nice, because I think for some books, especially these big epic books, you sometimes finish and you don't get a chance to get that closure of like, what happened to them? It was good, but I kind of knew what was going to happen, and it really just happened. But I did love that closure. I thought that was really nice for the characters. It was a nice way to finish off being in this world, and I've just come away feeling really satisfied now that it's done, it's dusted. I don't need to go back to this series again. Now, what would I rate it? I would rate it a 5-star series. It is trashy. It is Vampire Diaries. So take that into perspective. It's probably like, as I said, it's like 6 stars the first couple. The last couple is where it really drops down for me. It's probably 3 to 4 stars, but all up, I would say a 5-star read.